bad chip on my shoulder cause they treat me like an outcast. I ain't gonna take that, stay back. I'll be swinging hard till the hits come in all caps. I ain't gonna lay back, pray that someone's gonna help me. Ain't nobody like that. I ain't gonna wait, that's all fact. Give me one shot and I'll never get the throne back. I'm sick of being cautious. I'ma go cause some pain, can't stop this. I'ma steal everybody's lane, call it shoplift. Sick of hearing everyone complain when they thoughtless. Taste the pain, it's like candy canes. It makes me go change into a better frame, into a better name. Society's insane, we all live for fame. Yeah. Cash in the bag, stadium packed. Born a rock star in this life, gon' live it up on the attack. Baby, I'm bad, I just wanna get caught up in this life. I'm crazy, I'm mad, do it no cap. Only got one, so you better go live it up. Cash in the bag, stadium packed. Baby, I'm bad, baby, I'm bad. I got cash in the bag, stadium packed. Born a rock star in this life, gon' live it up on the attack. Baby, I'm bad, I just wanna get caught up in this life. I'm crazy, I'm mad, do it no cap. Only got one, so you better go live it up. Cash in the bag, stadium packed. Baby, I'm bad, baby, I'm bad. Cash in the bag, stadium packed. Born a rock star in this life, gon' live it up on the attack. Baby, I'm bad, I just wanna get caught up in this life. I'm crazy, I'm mad, do it no cap. Only got one, so you better go live it up. Cash in the bag, stadium packed. Baby, I'm bad, baby, I'm bad. I won't obey. You cannot tell me what I cannot say. I'm here to last, so yeah, I'm here to stay. I'll live each second like my final day. You can't take that away. Yeah. Cash in the bag, stadium packed. Born a rock star in this life, gon' live it up on the attack. Baby, I'm bad, I just wanna get caught up in this life. I'm crazy, I'm mad, do it no cap. Only got one, so you better go live it up. Cash in the bag, stadium packed. Baby, I'm bad, baby, I'm bad. I got cash in the bag, stadium packed. Born a rock star in this life, gon' live it up on the attack. Baby, I'm bad, I just wanna get caught up in this life. I'm crazy, I'm mad, do it no cap. Only got one, so you better go live it up. Cash in the bag, stadium packed. Baby, I'm bad, baby, I'm bad. I got cash in the bag, stadium packed. Born a rock star in this life, gon' live it up on the attack. Baby, I'm bad, I just wanna get caught up in this life. I'm crazy, I'm mad, do it no cap. Only got one, so you better go live it up. Cash in the bag, stadium packed. Baby, I'm bad, baby, I'm bad.
Alright. Here we go. Oh, just stumble my way in here. Hello, hello. Viewer or viewers. According to my stream manager here, there's only one viewer so far, but it's sometimes wrong. So if you're there, say hello. And if you're someone else who's there, also say hello so we can prove this wrong. Hey, Mark. How are you doing, Mark? Oh, hey, Carter. So there is two. The stream manager is wrong. I'm not too bad. I've been a bit rushed. I had a mentor session until 6:30, and it takes me about 40 minutes to get to or from work to here, give or take, door to door. But I stayed a little late to do some grading because the grades are due tomorrow, and got talking a bit about something that's I think coming later in the term that I need to figure out. And next thing I knew, it was like 7:30, so I only had an hour to get home, and I was starving, so I power walked to the SkyTrain once I got out of there, and then grabbed a sub on my way home and just like pounded it back. So I finished eating about 3 minutes ago, I think. So feeling a bit rushed. But other than that, I'm not doing too bad. And how about you, Carter? How are you doing? Is it today you're going to see Batman? Or have you already seen Batman? No spoilers if you have. As I was, when I went on Twitter to post that I was going live, I noticed a tweet from somebody who I don't follow, just suggested because of the subject matter, saying, I did not like the Batman and I don't want to talk about it. Which was disappointing to hear, but I've heard mostly positive things so far, so I'm not too broken up about that. They're out. What, all McDonald's are out of milkshakes? How is this possible? How is that a thing? Also, I feel like I have more wires than normal behind me. I don't know why that is. I feel like I'm gonna like... Okay, hang on. I'm gonna unplug this. I'm worried I'm gonna accidentally unplug something vital. I gotta come with a better system back here. You know, right before the... Okay, actually, wait. The year... Or no, I guess it was the year the pandemic started. I was so determined that March to get a Shamrock Shake from McDonald's. I was so excited. I hadn't had one since I was a kid. I was so feeling it. And I was like, you know what? I'm doing it. And tomorrow on my way home from work, I'm picking up a Shamrock Shake. And then the world shut down, and I never got that Shamrock Shake. I never left the house again for a while. Gonna see Batman in a little bit, seeing it at 10:40. Yeah, no kidding. Yeah, I think it's 2 hours and 58 minutes, I think I heard, or 56 minutes maybe. And then plus you got your trailers on top of that. Yeah, I'm going on Saturday. Very excited. There we go. Anyway, tonight's topic is we are going to design an indie band, and the genre is hillbilly punk. And the roots of this come from sort of from Michelle. Some of you guys might have been watching that night that this came up. I'm not going to say the name of the band yet. We'll see if you can remember. But basically, I was telling a story and I said a phrase, and then Michelle was like, "That should be that sounds like a good name for an indie band." And I said, "What genre would it be?" And she said, "Hillbilly punk." So we're gonna do a hillbilly punk band, 3-person band. A 3-character drawing can sometimes be pretty long, but I'm gonna go cartoony with this one because I think it'll be funnier that way. So it might not be that bad. And I'm gonna put the name of the band on the drums. So we'll see if anybody was watching that night and they think they remember it. Then speak up. I'll let you know if you're right, but otherwise I'm not gonna reveal it. And if Michelle joins us, then we can quiz her, see if she remembers it as well. This was 2-3 weeks ago, I think. I didn't do it last week because I had something else already planned, but then it's just as well anyway because Michelle went to Mexico, so she wouldn't have stood a chance of watching. I don't know if she'll watch tonight or not, but at least she can if she wants to. That's cool, Mark. Where are you going to see it? And also, let's draw this. I have some vague ideas for designs in my mind here. Nothing too concrete yet though. Okay. I'm going to the Landmark Theater, which is really close to where I live, which is convenient. But it's also, just in my opinion, the best band or the best theater around. Okay, let's do this. Let's design these characters. Believe it or not, Mark, I actually put together what theater you were talking about even before you corrected yourself there. In fairness, though, I might have put that together just because I like Batman. Am the world's greatest detective. The one criticism I have heard about the Batman is that it's a little bit longer than it should be, which at 3 hours doesn't shock me. And I think that that is the criticism I put on movies the most frequently. Like, there's a lot of movies that are a bit too long, and I sometimes wonder if that's like, in the case of something like Batman, sometimes it just happens, right? Sometimes I think it's like people just not wanting to kill their babies. And some of it is also, but I wonder with something like Batman if it's a bit of a studio thing, because, you know, they want to get people out to the theaters for it. And, you know, they want it to seem like it feel more epic or whatever, you know? Really? That makes no sense. I don't know why it says that. I did that on Tuesday, but are you saying would I do that with Batman, or would I do that with just movies in general that I think are too long? I think it depends on the movie. I'm generally more in favor of it being a one-parter. Well, I'd have to watch it to know, but I think that if you can tell it in a more concise way, even just getting it down to 2.5, you know? Because if every bit of that 3 hours is necessary to the plot, then maybe it needs to be 3 hours long, and that's fine. But sometimes it's just sort of like a scene that very blatantly didn't need to be there. And again, I haven't seen Batman yet. This is not me talking about Batman. But usually when I think that a movie is longer than it should have been, it's because it clearly did not need to be that long. I'm not opposed to it being 3 hours though, if it earns that. It's just some movies earn it better than others. Can I do that midstream though? I don't know how that, like, I specifically typed out what I was doing. I don't know why it didn't update. I think that might be a Twitch glitch. Twitch glitch. In stream, how would, well, hang on a sec, let me just see something. Well, I'm in the stream manager on my phone here. Like, normally I don't need to do this. Normally it just happens because I change, when I'm going live, I change the title. And I definitely changed the title. Because I even retitled it a couple times to decide how I wanted to title it. Hang on, let me just see something here. I'm not gonna waste a lot of time on this though. If I see a way to do it really quick. Oh, here we go. Here we go. It's so weird that it didn't update. Oh, you know what I bet it is? Hang on, I bet I know exactly what happened. I'll explain in a sec. This happened once before, actually. There we go. It doesn't like the word hillbilly. Hillbilly is like a trigger word. When I did that that possum a while back, I tried to label that hillbilly possum, and it wouldn't let me. So I think like I must have missed the part where it told me I couldn't do it, and it just replaced it with the previous one. So yeah. Does it make sense? No, it does not make sense. Let's do it this way then. Well, we got it working now, but good to know. Okay, since I know we're not drawing Batman now, but we were talking about Batman. What is our favorite Batman movie to date? And I'm bringing this up actually for another reason, because I had something on in the background before I went to work earlier. And it kind of annoyed me a little bit, but I won't elaborate until I hear your answers. I'm very curious. Okay, but let's narrow it down to movie. It can still be animated if you want to pick one of the straight to DVD ones, or if you want to pick Phantasm or something. But for movie, in the grand scheme of things, though, Mark, I think that is a valid answer. But there's kind of a reason I want to. Actually, you know what? Let's take animation out of the equation. Let's go live action, because that adheres more to the reason I'm asking the question. Pose is gonna fit in this frame here. Dark Knight. Why can't I see? Since I did that thing in the stream manager, it doesn't want to show me how many people we have watching anymore. That's weird. If anybody else is there, let's answer that. I'll give you a chance to answer the question. Are you still there, Carter? Twitch is a weird thing. Okay, I like the body, but the head's not lined up properly. Alright, no one else is jumping in? Alright, so here's what I had on in the back. And this morning I was working on some stuff before I had to leave. And in the background, just because it came up on my suggested viewing, I thought it might be cool. It was the behind the scenes of the Dark Knight trilogy, and I might have seen it before at some point. I don't remember, but I put it on in the background. And I like the Dark Knight trilogy quite a bit. I think Dark Knight is the best one. I think Batman Begins is underrated. Actually, I think it's better. Like it's pretty respected, but I still don't think it gets enough credit. Partly just because Dark Knight kind of tends to overshadow it. People love it so much, and I think that Dark Knight Rises has a lot of issues, but I think it's also better than it gets credit for. But my favorite Batman movie is probably '89, Tim Burton. Partly because of nostalgia, and partly just because I really like the kind of surrealist look to it, and just general kind of approach, kind of gothic vibes, you know. But what annoyed me about this documentary is just like they kept talking about how like, you know, superhero movies, basically saying superhero movies weren't good until Christopher Nolan stepped in, and like all the reasoning for this theory is purely because he made it like realistic, and that kind of just annoyed me because it's just sort of like we're not allowed to appreciate a story unless it's 100% plausible, and that really rubbed me the wrong way. And I like, whether it's my favorite or not, I do like the movie a lot. So I'm not knocking Christopher Nolan or what he did with those movies, but I just think that like I think it felt like an unnecessary fuck you to a lot of what came before him, and indirectly what has come afterwards. And I also don't think he was the first person to take a more grounded approach to a superhero movie either. It was just that Batman by nature doesn't require as much fantastical stuff to work. Because he's just a guy in a suit, essentially. And so it naturally becomes a bit more grounded just from that alone. Like even Tim Burton's movies are in some ways more realistic than some Marvel movies purely because of that. But I don't know. It wasn't like I raged about it or anything, but it kind of annoyed me. I just don't think sci-fi and fantasy get enough credit. But I also don't think I'm saying anything too new there. I think any fan of the genres tends to say the same thing, so. Christopher Nolan's also somebody that's got a lot of godlike reverence behind him, and it's considered sacrilegious to say anything negative. So the silence that I'm now experiencing makes me think I stepped on some toes. I'm sorry, Mark. I said I liked the movie. It's a very good movie. I'm going to do something really quick here. I'm going to pop out. Let me do this. And then I'm going to go pop back in. There we go. Now I can actually see stuff. Okay, cool. I'm seeing the sorry, Mark. If you said something in between, I missed that. Okay, that is fair. guitars are slightly limiting in terms of posing. Like, you can technically pose them any way you want, but if you want them to actually like they're playing, just mix them. Gotcha, gotcha. Batman, I know I liked it. I'm a bit behind on the DC animated ones. There's a bunch from the last couple of years that I haven't gotten caught up on yet. But for a while I was watching them religiously. I was actually buying them as they came out, and I definitely saw Doom, and I definitely liked them. I think there was like some are definitely better than others, but I don't think there was any that I actually disliked. So Doom was definitely my favorite of those ones though. Is probably Under the Red Hood. I've seen that one a few times. I really want to watch. I'm pretty sure they did Hush recently, and I've read Hush, so I really want to watch that one. And I also Long Halloween, I think, has already come out, right? I think as a two-parter. That's another one. I've read that one a couple times. I really like that one a lot. Batman Dark. Like Justice League Dark? I've seen, I think there's 2 Justice League Darks now. I've only seen the first one. But Batman Dark, I don't know if I know that one. Oh, okay, it's Justice League. Okay. I actually really want to rewatch that one too, because that is one that I own. But because I watched, I read all of Alan Moore's Swamp Thing recently, which has Constantine and Deadman and stuff in it. And I think, if I'm remembering the movie well enough, I think a lot of stuff from that actually came from that Swamp Thing run that I was reading. So it made me really want to rewatch it, but I just haven't gotten to it yet. Alrighty then. So, Hillbilly Punk Band. Put some details on here. We're actually going to give this guy a bunch of excessive hair in the front. And then, of course, the mullet in the back. But it's also a punk band, so you can give him some ear studs. I never watched his show, but I heard it was very good and canceled before its time. So we're not going to see this guy's eyes at all, but we'll pop out his nose a little bit more. So it's got that distinctiveness. And give him one of those too. There, you're back, Carter. Yeah, those were also very good. I agree. Um, and that is one of the only ones of the ones I've seen so far, I think, where I had actually read. And like I said, there's made a few since that I've based on ones that I've read. But well, actually, there was a Court of Owls one, but it wasn't a direct adaptation of it though either, so it was a bit different. I'm gonna give this guy a tied-off shirt because it seems very hillbilly and both hillbilly and punk at the same time. The dude halter top. I haven't seen the Ninja one, but I really liked Gotham by Gaslight a lot. I might skip those sleeves. Let's get rid of those sleeves. Oh, actually, yes, it is very good, and that's another one that I've read the original book for. And Killing Joke as well. I read the Killing Joke. Killing Joke movie, I don't really disagree with the criticisms that are put on that, but I also think that people make a bit too much out of those criticisms because it's like, you know, like 90% of it is a shot-for-shot recreation of the Killing Joke, and I totally appreciate why people hate the opening of it, and I wasn't crazy on the opening either. But it's like once you're through that, it's pretty much everything you would want from a Killing Joke adaptation. So I think people not liking this one sequence maybe are pushing that a little bit too far. I don't know. Carter just mentioned that one, Mark. I'm kind of curious to get you started, Carter, on Batman Ninja. Was that good or bad? And what did you think of those two, Mark? Hand is a little, you know what? I'm gonna. Yeah, Dark Knight Returns was good. What did you guys think of the Killing Joke? What were your thoughts on it? And then what about the animated one though, Carter? Probably mine as well, Mark. Mask of the Phantasm though is one that when I saw that as a kid, like I love the Batman animated series, like a lot. Like it's, like Carter knows, like bring it up an almost stupid amount in my classes. But Mask of the Phantasm, when I first saw it, like I was very excited for it. I actually have like pretty distinctive memories of seeing that trailer for the first time. But was pretty let down by the movie because the movie is very like it's very heady, which is seeing it, rewatching it now as an adult, I really appreciate it. But as a kid, it felt so slow. Have you heard about the criticism of the Killing Joke animated movie, Carter? I didn't own Phantasm until pretty recently, actually, and I had rewatched it on TV a while back, and loved it when I saw it that time. I don't think I ever disliked it as a kid, but I thought it felt kind of boring to me the first few times. But that also could be the age difference that we were talking about before, Mark, because you would have had a few extra years on me when that came out, and you would have probably had a better appreciation for it. Just being just those few years can make a big difference when you're that young. So have you purposely avoided watching it because of that, Carter? That one's a good one. I remember watching that one. That one, the weird thing about that one is that came out like, okay, so you had the Batman animated series, and then it kind of disappeared for a little while, and then the Superman cartoon came out, and then they kind of revamped the Batman cartoon. I call it like the New Adventures of Batman and Robin, or whatever the hell it was, or maybe just New Adventures of Batman. And they kind of all had these like redesigns, which I still liked, but I liked what came first better. And then Batman Sub-Zero seemed to drop like kind of after that revamped version came out, but it had the designs of the original cartoon, and I was always kind of confused by that, and I never really found out what the deal was with that. Gotcha. Well, like I said, most of the movie is an almost shot-for-shot recreation of the Killing Joke graphic novel. It's just that there's a 15 or 20 minute prologue added to it, which is completely unnecessary. And I think that's the biggest thing that's made egregious about it. Some say that it's doing the character of Batgirl a disservice. I don't think it's doing Batgirl any favors. I don't know that it's necessarily hurting her as a character, but it's not. It's also just completely unnecessary. That's basically what it was, yeah. And Batman Year One, they did a shot-for-shot recreation, and it ended up being really short. And I don't know if they did like an added short cartoon to put on the DVD, and I don't know if maybe they got a bad reaction to that, or if it was sort of like, maybe it was a situation where they considered adding something to that one as well, but they didn't have any ideas they were satisfied with. But then with Killing Joke, they thought, oh no, we could add this. But I think Killing Joke is kind of, I get frustrated with this. I feel like there's this like mindset a lot of times where if something isn't the best thing ever, then it's automatically the worst thing ever. But in actuality, like most things kind of land somewhere in between, and I think that is kind of it. Like people were excited for that movie because they like the comic is so respected, and then it wasn't perfect, um, and then that made it. And like if you don't like it because of that, then that's I think completely valid. But they talk about it like it was such a egregious thing, like they should be tarred and feathered for having created it or something. And it's like, no, let's calm our shit a little bit there, guys. Yeah, that's definitely what it was. Well, the prologue isn't relate because she like that never happened in the comics, but she still became Oracle. That actually is another thing. There's a like a mid-credit scene that kind of teases the Oracle thing, and I don't have an issue with the scene itself, but it is a little tone deaf. I feel like just in that the movie, just like the comic, ends on this really somber note where like the credits don't even have music over them, and then all of a sudden this very Marvel-esque post-credit scene kicks in, and like that almost I felt more egregious to me just because it threw the tone off so much. But it happened so late in the game that it wasn't, um, the end of the world. Loved Batman Beyond, and also loved Return of the Joker. Ah. Yeah, I hope it happens. I talked about my ultimate nerd fantasy that I don't think in a million years will ever happen involving a Batman Beyond movie. Have I brought that up on here yet? Um, so I think the best way to do a Batman Beyond movie would be to use an actor that played Batman before, right? I think it'd be the most effective way to approach it. And Michael Keaton, of course, is coming back for the Flash movie. Um, he's also coming back for the Batgirl show, which is one of the reasons I don't think this will ever happen. But I wasn't super optimistic anyway. So using him as old Bruce Wayne to training Terry McGinnis would be super cool, and then you could treat the Burton movies as canon. And my ultimate nerd fantasy involving that is that you also get Tim Burton back to direct Batman Beyond, and I feel like he could use a bit of a comeback too. And then and then through de-aging and flashback sequences, we can maybe see what Tim's version of Two-Face would have looked like, and we can maybe even get Billy D back in the role, and his version of Mr. Freeze and Poison Ivy, and like things like that. Like I think that'd be kind of neat. I think like that's what annoyed me the most about Forever, other than Batman Forever and Batman and Robin, of course, aren't that great movies. But I think what annoyed me more than anything was just that what would Tim have done? I wanted to see because he had such a unique, like his version of Catwoman made no sense. Like I hated the origin story they gave for her, but I loved the supernatural elements and how kind of twisted and almost horror movie it kind of became. And I would very much have loved to have seen what he would have done with those other characters. I don't see him doing it, and I don't know that Warner Brothers would even ask him to do it. But I also feel like Batman is kind of what put his career on the map, and I feel like as of late his career hasn't been the best. You know, like everyone looks at him as kind of hit or miss now. So doing another movie like that might actually make sense. Could actually be good for him, but I doubt it'll ever happen. Give her sunglasses, like really big, oversized. Well, Kevin Conroy. I mean, no question there. I think. She also has a mullet. You know, with Under the Red Hood, like I get that the other animated ones aren't necessarily all supposed to be the same continuity, but I felt like Under the Red Hood, like I loved it, and I felt like it almost does fit within the continuity. Like if you're flashing forward a few years and maybe we missed a few things, you know, we missed the recruitment of Jason Todd and stuff. Like it almost fits. Like it's not that drastically different. So it made me really kind of wish that we had Kevin Conroy and Mark Hamill back for that. Worst Batman voice? know if I mean, I don't know if there's any that I flat out disliked, but if there was, I'm not remembering who the actor was necessarily. Do you have one, Mark? I don't know why, but I'm gonna give this guy really bushy eyebrows. And a missing tooth. Oh, okay. So, okay, what was your thoughts on Batman? You never did answer that. What did you think of Batman Ninja or of Gotham by Gaslight? Okay, so do I. I think it's one of the last ones I watched. Here's the thing with those, right? I got in the habit of buying every single one of them as they would come out, and then I got busy with a project, movie I did a couple years ago, and I just didn't have the time to be watching them, so I kind of kept putting off buying them. And then I finished that, and I wanted to catch up, but I was stubborn about my collection. Like, I wanted to buy them. I didn't want to just watch them on Netflix or whatever. But I'd fallen so behind that it was like, it would have been really expensive just buying them all at once. And so I bought a few, and then a few months later I bought a few more, and then I got distracted with other things, and I keep falling behind. But I really want to get caught up. I've heard mixed things about Ninja, for sure. I feel like I did hear some really like Ninja though. I feel like when it first dropped, I did hear some positive things. But I feel like in more recent years, I've heard primarily negative things. Yeah, which was Under the Red Hood. I thought he did a good job. I just it kind of felt like it would have been cool to see Conroy do that one, just because I felt like it still sort of meshed with what he had done, and it kind of almost could have worked like a continuation potentially. Did Greenwood do Gaslight as well? I thought that was, I can't remember who that was, but I thought it was somebody else of note. Hey, Michelle. Do you remember this theme? Do you remember the name of this band? I'm actually about to write it on the, you came in just in time to test your memory. I am about to write it on the drum set. Well, Bruce Greenwood did a good job. Bruce is from Vancouver, I think. It is. Do you remember the name though? Mullet is in the title. Figures I'd run out of lead right before I add the last bit of pencil. Oh, you met him? Cool. Just through happenstance, or did you work on something that he was in? Fully out of lead. I have to actually reload the lead just to sketch in the title and then start inking. Figures. Well, that's cool. Bruce is someone that I feel like mostly plays assholes, but I feel like is probably a pretty nice guy in real life. Am I right about that? You're on the right track. Not quite, but you're on the right track. Nope, but you're getting warmer. Whoa. Unfortunately, because of my poor planning, the title's not going to be quite as legible in this as I would have liked. But oh, you win some, you lose some. I don't know if you can read that, Michelle, but that might help you. I probably won't get to the inking part of that specifically for a while, so you can throw in some more guesses if you want. You are on the right track. I can give you a hint if you want. It came out of me telling the story about my mullet that I had till I was in grade 11. Oh shit, look at that. No, I'm right-handed. Why is it flipped like that? It shouldn't be flipped like that. Huh, I must have, I was messing around with the camera, yesterday actually. And I put it back in a slightly better way, as far as the framing on the screen. But I didn't notice that I had to flip it vertically, but I guess I need to flip it horizontally again too. But no, I am right-handed. Oh. Well, that does make it a bit more. Oh, you know what? Hang on. It might not be. I can maybe fix this midstream. Let's see if I can do this. 1 sec. Did I do anything? I don't think I did. That's so weird. Huh. Or wait, or did it? And I just didn't realize it. 1 sec. No. Okay, that's really weird. I don't know. I'll investigate that. But the camera, like the way the camera's situated now, it should be just looking head on. It shouldn't need any flipping. Because before it was actually pointing backwards, and I had to flip it horizontally so it'd be right side up, or vertically rather. And so this seemed like better, and it was. I feel like I'm slightly less likely to bump into it this way as well. But it's weird that it flipped it. I don't know why it flipped it. Weird stuff. Michelle, how was your trip to Mexico? Nice. Well, that sounds like a lovely kind of vacation then. And that was for a bachelorette party, I think you said, right? Also, good signs of a solid vacation, Michelle. I don't know if I followed every detail of the DiMaggio thing to weigh in for it on it, like, with complete confidence. I feel like he maybe got vilified a little bit from what I do know, just in that it was like, oh, he wants more money, prima donna or whatever. But he seemed pretty clear that he felt like everybody deserved more money after so many years of doing it. Which I think is pretty valid. I also don't know exactly what the numbers were, what he was asking for, what they were offering, to be able to have an opinion on whether or not that seemed outrageous or not. But either way, I'm glad they got him back. What did you think of it, Mark? I think he was, but the other voice actors were signed on. Like, they were good to go with what they were being offered. He was the only one that held out. So I think he was trying to get more money for everybody, but I don't know that that's how everybody interpreted it. Or I mean, like, as far as people on the internet and stuff are concerned. And I think that was something that he had to kind of clarify with people publicly. Because whether he kind of won his battle or not, the others were still on board. Yeah, I guess. Or maybe it won't. Maybe we'll never know. I don't know. You ever see the documentary I Know That Voice? It is a very cool documentary about voice actors. Wow. That is impressive, actually. To, like, I would think most people that have gotten that far in life without drinking would be doing it because they have something against it, or there's a health thing in play, or like I would assume there's a reason for it, you know. So if you've just been like just not feeling it, and then to go hog wild at your bachelorette party is kind of funny. But yeah, I don't know where you can watch it now. It might still be on Netflix, I'm not sure, but I Know That Voice is a pretty good doc. There's also a scripted movie with Lake Bell. I think she might have directed it as well, I'm not positive, called In a World. And it's about, like, after the trailer voice guy, the In a World ruled by fear, that guy, like, after he died, and that part of it is true, the rest of it is fictional. There's like this like talk of auditions of who will be the new In a World guy, and she wants to be the new In a World person, and everyone thinks that she can't do it because she's a woman, and it kind of goes. It's kind of like, I think the central plot is, if I'm remembering it right, a bit of, kind of like a rom-com, but it has that as a backdrop, and it has a lot of cool nods to the industry and stuff like that. I remember liking that one actually as well, but I don't remember that one as well, I guess. I really enjoy voice acting a lot, but it is not an easy nut to crack. I think I've talked about it on the stream before, actually. I've done 2 paid voice acting gigs, a couple unpaid voice acting gigs, and a bunch of stuff for myself, for my own animated projects. The trailer for I Know That Voice, or for In a World? teaser trailer for Jerry Seinfeld's documentary Comedian used that trailer voice guy, and the whole teaser was him recording the voiceover for the trailer, and they keep having to correct him because he's getting the tone of the movie wrong, and he's just like, in a world where laughter was king, and they keep like, no, it's not that type of movie, and then just kind of do this montage of all of his failed attempts, like, in a world, one man, in a land that time forgot, and all that kind of shit. One man, one woman, one dog, one lamppost, one ice cream sandwich, and a love stronger than them all. Arnold Schwarzenegger is the little engine that could. I gotcha. Unrelated to that, does anybody play any instruments? I, as a matter of fact, do not, in case you're wondering. I was fortunate enough to have a couple teachers in elementary school that were musicians themselves, and so like I actually was taught guitar a little bit as a kid, but only like within the confines of like the music session we would have like once a week or whatever, and like never super intense. I do not remember any of it, but that was close. Oh wow, that's pretty cool. I had a feeling that you did play, Michelle. I feel like it came up before, but my mind didn't go to saxophone. I was thinking guitar or something. But I think I knew that you played an instrument. Some stickers on her guitar. Okay, actually that sounds familiar too. Maybe that's how it came up. I remember a friend of mine that went to a different school. He had to learn recorder, I think, and was really jealous when he found out that we got to play guitar, because guitar was like the cool instrument. Just had a bit of a flashback, actually. Went quiet there for a minute thinking about it. One of those teachers that taught guitar was Miss Moffat. Oh yeah. Miss Moffat was a really cool teacher. I have one kind of funny story involving her that wasn't her at her coolest, but for the most part, she was a very cool teacher. And even that one story wasn't that bad, so I really don't have anything bad to say about Miss Moffat. But I remember, like, I'm pretty sure senior year of high school, I was walking home, and she just happened to be in her car at a red light as I was crossing, and I saw her, so I walked up to the window to say hi. And I remember asking, and she definitely, clearly had remembered me, because she asked if I was going into the arts, and when I said yeah, she seemed very excited for me. She was like, "Good for you." Oh, the way I said it sounded more sarcastic, like she was kind of holding a grudge. But that was not that was not the intent. I assure you, she was a very cool teacher. Yeah, but I never got like I feel like I didn't know it super well. I remember I could play the intro to I almost said Smoke on the Water. I think it's Proud Mary. The dun dun. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's Proud Mary. Dun 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 dun. That was like probably my proudest moment, was learning how to play that. But pretty much everything else was a struggle. I was never that into it. I always liked the idea of learning an instrument, but not enough to put the necessary time into it. Yeah, no. I realized it as I was saying it, but no, it's very encouraging. Very much the encouraging type. You know what I love about that Christian Bale tape though is you can see his like Welsh politeness coming through. I think it's Welsh. Because even though he's like reaming the guy out, he also makes a point of telling him he's a nice guy. And when he says that they're through, he makes a point of saying it's professionally. It's like, I'm not saying I never want to see you again. I'll hang out with you. I just don't want you being my lighting guy anymore. Have you guys ever seen the Dennis Quaid meltdown video? I'm pretty sure Christian Bale's Welsh. I think that's what he's from. Okay, so a friend sent me this a while ago. I'm not sure how recent he actually made this, but so there's a video of I think Funny or Die did this, or College Humor or something. But apparently, there's a video of Dennis Quaid losing his shit on set, and I think they released just that video for a while, and then they released an extended version of it where it then shows the whole video from a different angle, and it gives a completely different perspective to everything he's saying. So it turns out he's not an asshole. So it's like, so there's a part like, I don't know if I get into that, but he said something like, it's like, this is shit or something like that, and then when you see it from the other angle, you see he's actually pointing at a pile of shit. So he's just stating a fact, and it's pretty funny. If I remember, I'll try to find it and drop it on the Discord later. Also, speaking of bands, me and a friend got tickets to see Def Leppard, Motley Crue, Poison, and Joan Jett in September at BC Place. Pretty excited about that. I think that's going to be pretty fun. Assuming COVID doesn't come in and ruin it for everybody. But we'll think positively Maybe Motley Crue. The songs I get most amped for when it comes on my playlist is Kickstart My Heart, which is Motley Crue. And I really like Joan Jett, although it's not Joan Jett and the Runaways anymore, it's Joan Jett and the Blackhearts, so I don't know if she can actually legally perform the Runaway stuff, which is what I know of her better. Yeah, very much. Anybody see The Dirt? It came out a few years ago on Netflix about Motley Crue. That was pretty decent. There's a character on Boba Fett that I thought seemed a lot like Joan Jett, the leader of that biker gang. Ink, ink, ink. Ink, ink, ink. Should probably have some hair in your arms. Seems appropriate. This guy's playing a banjo, by the way. If that wasn't obvious. You know what instrument I'd love to play? I'd love to learn to play the harmonica. I don't see me actually learning it. Because I got enough on my plate. I don't need to be learning an instrument. But it feels like a very satisfying instrument to be able to play. Just like, it's something you can fit in your pocket, you know? I feel like a harmonica would also be at home in a hillbilly punk band. Alright, here's a pop quiz for you guys. What famous comedian is also known to play the banjo? That was the Jeopardy music. That was not missed. I don't think I did it justice. Anybody else wanna throw a name out there before I hop in? Anybody? Anybody? I can pretty much guarantee you all know this person, whether you knew that they played the banjo or not. In fact, when I was looking up reference for banjos, I wanted to see how people held them. This person even came up in the Google search without me looking for them specifically. The answer, going once, going twice, is Steve Martin. Plays a mean banjo. I'll give you guys a minute to pick your chins up off the floor. Would have thought. I read his, I don't know if you'd fully call it an autobiography or not, because it was really just about his time as a stand-up but called Born Standing Up. I read that all in one sitting. It was a very good read. There was a time when I briefly considered the idea of trying stand up. So I wasn't really interested in that stuff. I don't know if I was still flirting with the idea when I read that book or not, though. I think I might have already. Just as a fan of stand up, I know that you kind of have to go in and like you need to bomb a bunch before you start really getting good at it, and I'm not afraid to bomb, but it was never my primary focus. Like, I always kind of wanted to do animation was still the end goal, so it just didn't seem like it was worth the time it would take to actually get anywhere with it, you know, if I wasn't really feeling it. It's not something to do just for the hell of it, I don't think, you know. So I kind of abandoned that theory, that whole idea. But my interest has always been there. That never left me. Banjo strings. Guitar strings are a pain in the ass. I'm also 99% sure I'm attaching them wrong to the bass here. But that's cool. No one needs to know. You working right now, Michelle? Making up for lost time from going to Mexico? It's the drawback of vacations sometimes, depending on what your gig is and how they handle it. Take the trip, but when you come back, you got extra work waiting for it. Cool. Okay. Well, then that's even better from the vacation standpoint. Tonight's playlist, by the way, the keyword was rock. I didn't really want to go with hillbilly and get like a lot of country stuff. Punk, for some reason, wants to give us Christmas music. And punk rock, for some reason, only gives us like 5 tracks. Rock gives, I think it was 111 tracks came up, which is still shockingly low for what I think is one of the more common musical genres, but has the name come to you yet, Michelle? Still got a bit of a chance. The reaction you predicted earlier, I'm sure is going to happen to you once it's inked and you're able to read it even backwards. Although if you're dyslexic, this wouldn't be an issue. You know, this is one of those times when being dyslexic actually gives you a learning ability. Added learning ability, I should say, obviously. I don't know if dyslexia is considered a learning disability or not. I just can't think of another phrase at the time. But it is a frequently overcome issue, no matter what it's classified as. One of my favorite Naked Gun gags is a newspaper article that says dyslexia for cure found. Tim Burton's dyslexic, actually. I think Bruce Willis as well. Tom Cruise, I think, also. I like that all that is told, conversation I'm having with myself about dyslexia, all because my camera is backwards. bit here. Ugh. Carter is going to watch the Batman any minute now, I think. Carter, if you're with us still right now, you should probably turn that phone off before you piss somebody off. Okay, I'm gonna do a plaid pattern on the shirt, but not. Yeah, I'm gonna do a thinner pen tip. Same thing with her fishnets. A while back, I did like 2 characters wearing fishnet stockings on the stream, like relatively close to one another, and someone on the stream, I think it was Helen, was like, so you like fishnets. And then it made me feel awkward about ever drawing them again. I don't have any specific penchant towards fishnets. I just think that they're sometimes fun to draw if it makes sense for the character. Because, like, unless you make a point of drawing, like, a tear or something in it, like regular stockings or nylons or whatever, like, they don't really show up unless you color it. Or if you try to, approximate it with inking, it almost looks like fishnets, whether they're supposed to be or not. But Helen made me feel weird about it. Thanks, Helen. Put a band-aid on this knee. Itchy. Itchy nose. You're not doing work, Michelle, but are you drawing or painting or anything? You often are doing something creative while you watch. And what's everybody else up to, for that matter, as well? Anybody who is feeling chatty that hasn't said anything for a while? Are you still with us, Mark? What are you up to? How is the bread? Was it with a bread maker, or did you make it fully from scratch? Knead the dough the whole 9 yards? Everybody's chilling but me tonight. Ah, I recently got a water pick that makes toothbrushing slightly more creative, I think. That was at the suggestion of my dentist, who realized I don't floss nearly enough. But she felt my pain because she herself doesn't like to floss. It's a little weird taking a super soaker to your mouth every night before bed, but I've gotten used to it. My dad has a well, my mom and dad. It's my dad that particularly likes to use it. Is they have a bread maker. He sent me home with loaves of raisin bread on more than one occasion. A friend who, when his mom got remarried, one of the wedding gifts they got was a bread maker, and they had it timed to go off in the middle of the night so that they would have fresh bread in the morning. And when it went off that first time, it woke them up. The guy came down with a baseball bat because he thought someone had broken into the house. I might have told that story before too, actually. It sounds familiar as I say it. Yeah, I could see that. That being said, I might need to hide that when I have certain visitors with that in mind. I'm pretty sure my place is going to be host to a bachelor party in a couple months, so maybe I'll hide the water pick. Good thinking, Michelle. When you say you do that too, Mark, are you talking about the water pick? Hey, Parker. Let's go with 3, since that's all we have in front of us right now. How are you doing, Parker? Parker, were you with us a couple weeks ago when the conversation gave birth to the idea of this hillbilly punk band? And if so, do you remember the name of the band? Technically, I named it. It was something that I said, but it was Michelle that labeled it as a good name for an indie band. and it was also Michelle that decided it should be a hillbilly punk band. No, it would have been. Well, actually, I think it was a Thursday, but I can't be sure about that. That Parker. I think it was on a Thursday stream though. I think it was 2 weeks ago. I did it. I think. All right. Well, maybe not. Maybe it was on a Tuesday then. Going back to earlier conversation, I feel like Joan Jett might like Combat Fairs. I feel like that could be up her. I could see that. In another world, she could be a reader, maybe. All of it, all at once. I don't know if you guys heard that elbow crack, but it was very satisfying. So satisfied right now. Oh yeah? Glad to hear it, Parker. I guess on Tuesday, Parker, you kind of missed a little bit of the backstory about that drawing challenge. Because I think we were actually talking about it, ironically, I think last Thursday. I think for sure last Thursday, actually, and Mars was here and stuff. Because I got the idea, the intent was to do it instead of Mermaid. And so I got the idea shortly after last year's Mermaid. And the first two women on the list were Nellie Bly and Hedy Lamarr. And that's because right around the time of Mermaid, I was researching stuff for Volume 2 of Combat Fairies, and I learned about Nellie Bly during that. And I thought that her story was like super cool. And then I saw a meme about Hedy Lamarr, which wasn't 100% accurate, but it made me look up some stuff about her. And I thought, and I saw a post that in hindsight must have been an old post that for some reason got some new traction or whatever in May, that was tagged as Women's History Month or International Women's Month or whatever. And so I was like, oh, that's an awesome idea. Instead of Mermaid, I'm going to do a tribute to kind of unsung heroes, female heroes in history kind of thing. But I was doing it thinking that May was Women's Month. So I had, for over the last year, I've been building up this list for the different women I was going to honor. And then 2 days before March 1st, listening to a podcast, somebody made reference to March being Women's History Month, and I was like, wait a minute, what? And then I looked it up, and then I realized, so I had to go into mad panic mode to get on that. So I'm not, look behind the curtain, I'm not actually drawing them every day. I actually finished all 31 of them on Tuesday. I roughed out all 31 just on Sunday night alone. But inking and all the little doodles along the sides and stuff was a lot slower. Pretty much. Wait, which crack are we referring to? I feel like you're making a pun in reference to something I said, but I don't remember what it was. You gotta help me out here, Bert. Also, does your mom follow me on Instagram? Or did you just show her? Anyway, yeah, you might remember last week when I said I wasn't going to do Mermaid, and I was kind of coy about what it would be, but I said it has something to do with International Women's Month. Unbeknownst to me that we were only days away from that very month starting. Oh, right, okay, gotcha. Ugh. For the record, the mullet that I had for the first 11 years, well, actually, the first 16 years, I guess, of my life, was not as intense as any of the mullets in this drawing. Yeah, you can see that. Well, it's kind of what I was going for somewhat, although ideally it'd be more square if it was going to potentially be on an album cover. Totally. For the poster, the square part wouldn't matter. Although, actually, you know, I'm going to change the way I write this so that it more clearly. It's stupid to crop it out needlessly. I'll just write it smaller on the drum. In fact, I'm going to save that for the very end. I'm going to do the, I'll do my spot blacks and stuff when I'm finished inking this guy. And then we'll close out with adding the elusive title. Give you guys a little bit longer to sweat it out, trying to remember. Assuming, of course, you are racking your brains, struggling. Chest. Mirror chest. I think you were very right, Parker. Oh, actually, I missed the question part. Yes, sort of. Like I've done some logos and things. Well, actually, yeah, no, I guess I have done a fair bit of that. My mom used to work. Well, she still does actually. She's like semi-retired, but she still does some consulting stuff. In the marketing department for a mining engineering company. I got a few such gigs through her over the years. Like even pretty early into things, like even in high school I got some gigs that way. She used to do a annual go-karting event that was for different like companies from the industry would send reps to compete in this go-karting event, and I did the logo that they used for that. Did a few logos and promo posters for different things in that industry. Also designed the logo for the Wardrop Pedal Heads, which was the biking team at the company she was working for. And then I got roped into joining the team. Basically, a girl that was working there was putting together this team, knew that my mom's son was an artist, so asked her if she could get me to do a logo or whatever. Paid gig. So they did, but then while they were while I was doing it, found out that like almost nobody was signing up to join this team. And then out of desperation, her name was Joanna. Well, it still is Joanna. I'm fairly sure she's still alive. She's my age. I hope she's alive. Asked if I wanted to join. And then I did, because I had heard from my mom that nobody was joining this team, and I felt really bad. And it was a bike marathon for MS research. And I ended up doing it twice, because it kicked my ass the first year. Mainly because Joanna lied and insisted there was no hills on the damn thing. But it was actually up around UBC, so most of it was a fucking hill. But I did it again a couple years later, or I guess the next year, and I trained like super hard for it to make sure I could handle it. And I leaned like way out, like I lost like, a bunch of weight. That summer my parents went to Australia, so I didn't see them for a few months. And I had like a Skype call with them, and I lost all this weight. And then parents being parents were all like, "Are you eating enough? Oh my god!" And I started getting all self-conscious that I'd gone too far. So as soon as the bike marathon was over, I just started eating like shit, and I just packed it all back on pretty much right away. Okay, I'm gonna pop out for just a second, guys. I just got a battery warning from my phone, which I'm using to chat, and so I'm gonna go plug it in. Grab my charger so it doesn't die before we're done. We're close to being finished though, but I'll be right back. Just give me a sec. Back. Now I gotta phone might actually end up on camera here. Yeah, there we go. And we're charging and we're good. Let's just hope I don't knock it while I try to finish inking this thing. Going into panic mode, Michelle, for the name. Michelle wanted to go to bed like an hour ago, but she couldn't let it go. Alright, let's do our spot blacks here. Also, I should actually darken the edge of this guy's arm, so we're going to do that as well. In further response to your question, though, Parker, I would actually love to do more of that stuff. Like, I would love to do album covers and concert posters and stuff, but it can be a tough nut to crack because, you know, so many bands, like established bands, have artists they already work with or whatever, and the indie bands can't necessarily afford to pay for it, you know. There was something I did this twice. I went onto Bandcamp and I actually reached out to as many bands as I could. Just last year I did it twice. Spent like a day doing it. Just copying and pasting the same email to a bunch of different bands to see if they had any interest in hiring me to do an album cover or something. And I got a lot of people responding saying, "Oh, we love your work and stuff," but like nobody was in a position to actually like hire me. One guy did, and then didn't pay me, so that was cool. And then I did it one more time on the Bandcamp thing during the Kickstarter campaign for Combat Fairies. I did the same thing, but specifically to punk bands, because I think there's a lot of overlap in the Combat Fairies aesthetic with punk. Like it very much is a punk comic, at least aesthetically. And so I thought, well, maybe like it was worth doing that to potentially get more gigs. But if I do it during that campaign, I might also be drawing people who might be into the comic. They're drawing their attention to my stuff while that campaign's going. Yeah, I mean, in fairness, like, well, okay, there's no in fairness. Like, yeah, the guy was a dick. But I also should have known better. Like, I usually get like half up front, and then pay the rest. Get the rest on completion, and I didn't do it this one time, mainly because it just so happened that I was doing some other freelance gig. I had the whole day kind of set aside to do this other gig, and that morning I got the email from him, and in the name of efficiency I kind of wanted to do both at the same time. And so I would just kind of like, all right, here we go, and I gave him the price, and he was like, yeah, it sounds good, man. And then I just did it, and you know, kind of fucking myself over a little bit there. And he kept insisting he was going to pay me, and he kept giving me excuses, and he would just kind of ghost me until I pestered him enough, and he would come back and give some excuse, and it clearly wasn't happening. Oh well. Live and learn. I actually did, I don't know if you guys know Cowman at all. I don't know if it would have been worth it or not. I did screen cap all the conversations I had with him, and I did consider posting them, which I've seen a lot of other artists do, but I just couldn't bring myself to do it. It's also the ghosting is what, you know, like not everyone can afford everything. Like I get maybe something comes up, you suddenly realize, oh shit, maybe I can't afford this as easily as I thought I did. But at least be like upfront about it. People ghosting people is just so shitty. Like they just stopped replying. Like it wasn't enough for him to just not pay me. He just kind of went dark. Yeah. I think the only time ghosting is a good thing is if you're ghosting a person that is being really creepy and weird. And sometimes the best thing to do is just shut them out, you know? Yeah. I had another one where a friend of a friend is a voice actor. And he's done some notable stuff. But at the time he hadn't done a ton yet. He was kind of just getting into it. And my friend told him about me and the animation I do and stuff. And this was when I was like early into working on Snot. And I met him at a party, and he was like telling me he would love to do. He's like, "Oh yeah, like I heard all about you. I'd love to do some voice work for you and stuff." And so I suggested he do this part in the movie, and he seemed all excited about it. And like it wasn't going to be paid, but he even knew that when he offered and stuff. and seemed fully on board, and then just one day just stopped replying to me. And I was kind of like, what annoyed me most is like, I don't know what his reasoning was, but like even if it was something like he read the lines and like the lines or whatever, like even if it was something that could potentially have hurt my feelings or something like that, or that's what he was afraid of, like I would have like fucking like either just go for it, tell me, like be honest, or if you have to, like lie to me, but don't just go dark, because then I wasted so much time like okay, do I find somebody new, do I like. And what made that one worse is he actually reached out to me. He's the one that was like, oh, I want to work with you, and then I was like, okay, let's do it, and then just gone. It's like, what the fuck. Yeah, that's unfortunately like really common with like HR departments and stuff, I find. And even a rejection, even if you're getting rejected, a message to tell you that is so much better than just not knowing. And actually, something similar to that, thinking about, happened to me once as well with, I almost got a gig doing storyboards at Studio B when I was fairly fresh out of school. The guy, as much as hired me, and I think he had to like clear something with his supervisor or something before he could make it official. And then I'm assuming the supervisor nixed the idea for whatever reason. And instead of telling me, the guy just stopped replying. Oops. Phone is charging extremely slowly. I just noticed, but whatever. Charging is charging. I don't think it's going to take me too much longer to finish this. Farn might have actually held out. I just didn't want to take the chance. What would you have been doing at the studio, Parker? You would have been doing NFTs, or were you? Is this a different thing from my question? Oh, okay. Well, the ghosting seems a little bit less surprising then. Still don't quite know what to make of NFTs. I love the idea, but I question the viability of it. I feel like I sound really old when I say that, though. I don't know about these gosh darn NFTs. That was a really bad old man voice. Yeah, exactly. I think it's too easy to be illegitimate with it. Exactly. And that's the thing, like, in theory it's a great idea because it's hard to put the same monetary value on digital work as physical because just because the nature of it, because it's so easily copied. And the copy is literally exactly the same as the original, but the work and skill that went into it is just as valid as what goes on canvas. But just branding it as an NFT, like he doesn't keep any real value to it. Like it's still just a digital file that could be copied. And then also, as far as like a piece of art to then own, what are you doing with that NFT? You know, like you just make it your desktop background, like. And if you print it out, how's that any better than, or any different just than a digital file that you would print out? Like shady. Almost done, but welcome, Chantel. Were you here a couple weeks ago, Chantel, when this idea came up on the stream? And if so, do you remember what the name of this band is going to be? Oh yeah, what'd you think of Dune? The ... makes me think you weren't too into it. The story will make more sense when you see part 2. I like Dune a lot, but other than the visuals, I wouldn't recommend it to everybody. Some yes, but not everybody. But when part 2 is out, that might change. Like I liked it a lot, but I'm definitely gonna like it more when I can watch it as like a 6-hour super movie. We're getting pretty close to the title reveal. Michelle, are you excited? I've read the first book, but only the first book. I wouldn't say that of all movie adaptations, but ones that have a lot of backstory to get through, though. I also don't always feel like everything needs to be explained, though, either. Oh, I believe you, Chantel. Look at the wiki for, like, any comic book character. I think I mentioned that when I was doing the Storm drawing a while back. Well, like, world building, like, not all of it needs a complete explanation, I don't think. Like when the first Star Wars movie came out, like, we barely knew anything about the galaxy, and it didn't really matter, right? We only knew what we needed to know for those characters. The expanded universe that kind of like filled in a lot of those gaps, and it was fun to learn that stuff, but it wasn't really necessary to the plot. But I also kind of wonder if the expanded universe and how, like, you know, intense fans and stuff learned so much because of that, if that's where the insistence that we should understand everything needs to be explained came from. Like, so many people wanted Black Widow to be about Budapest. I'm like, why do we don't need to know what happened in Budapest. Like, who fucking cares? Like, that line was only meant to show the two characters had history and had gone on missions together. We're not allowed to leave anything on the table anymore. I'm not saying that's the case necessarily with your Dune questions, Chantel. Some stuff obviously definitely needs to be explained, so you might be right to feel lost about some of it. Or maybe you're right to feel lost about all of it, but it doesn't necessarily have to have consequence on the plot itself, is all I mean. I'm not sure if I know what you mean, Parker, by the poor faith criticisms. Oh, yeah. And the thing is, too, is, like, sometimes stuff that people label as a plot hole isn't necessarily a plot hole. It's just that it's like we weren't shown that detail, but we don't always need to see that detail. And just because it didn't show it, like, unless it contradicts something else that was set up, like, this can't possibly happen because of this, like, that's a plot hole. If we just didn't see how they got from pure, like, just because we didn't show them pull a key out of their pocket doesn't mean that they didn't have a key to open the door, you know? But yeah, so I think we're on the same page, Parker. I just didn't get your wording at first. Yeah, well, the original film isn't the best. Anyway, it arguably makes even less sense. But I don't disagree, though, Michelle. Like, Dune is very dense, and it's one that I think, in terms of like there might, like, I've only seen it once, and I can't speak to this for sure. I've read the book, but even with having read the book, I can't claim to remember every detail about everything. But I'm sure there's some stuff that I don't fully remember from the book, or even if I did remember it in the book, I didn't understand it from the book either. Like, there's definitely some stuff like that. But also, some of that stuff might be, because the movie's so dense, I feel like some of that stuff might be in the movie, but it's easily missed on a single viewing. Alright. I'm gonna adjust my pencils, but we're about to add the title. Be excited for the title. This is not a drill, people. PogChamp, PogChamp, PogChamp. Okay. Let's do this. Let's do it with this. Feel free to jump in at any point, Michelle. And if the letters start to come together and you're like, I remember, feel free to jump in. I know you're watching it backwards, but you might. There we go. Michelle got it. Congrats, Michelle. I knew you'd get it. Maybe. It's actually not a bad idea, Parker. I could color this and then use it on a poster in the background or something. I hope I'm not wrong to put 2 L's in spiteful. Am I wrong to put it? Looks like it might be wrong. Of course, sometimes they purposely spell stuff wrong for indie band. Like, so maybe that's okay. Also, if this guy was in charge of the sign, I feel like he'd spell it wrong anyway. Does that mean I spelled it wrong, but it kind of fits in world? Or is it like a British spelling type of situation? Okay. I actually almost asked, but I didn't want to give it away. So I just like went with my gut, and then as soon as I saw it more clearly, I was like, that doesn't look right. Alright. The ironic thing is the single L would have fit in there better anyway. Well, we're gonna own it. That's what we're gonna do. There we go. Spiteful Mullet. Let's toss the signature on there, and we'll call it done. There we go. Spiteful Mullet. The hot new indie hillbilly punk band. Alright. That is it for tonight, guys. I'll be back next week. I got something planned for Tuesday, I think. Something sort of a little different, but also not very different at all at the same time. So you'll have to wait and see what I mean by that. I'd listen to him too, Michelle. Thank you, Parker. Thank you, Mark. And yeah, so I'll catch you guys next time. Have a good night, and thanks for watching.